All right, it is a no-brainer that most people move here for our beautiful city of Denver. But if you don't want to live in Denver, the real question becomes, do you want to live north or south?
All right, let's go. If this is your first time watching this channel, Pete and Chelsea Sweeney here would like to be as your boots on the ground experts, guys, covering Denver and all of its surrounding cities, giving you all that information that you need to know. So do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, little notification bell, that way you're notified every single time we put out a new video.
Yeah, and as much as we love making these videos for you, we really love helping with your real estate needs when moving into the state of Colorado. So if you're looking for a licensed real estate agent, here's our phone number right here. Call or text us anytime.
When we were coming up for the title of this video, I kind of had like a West Side Story style theme in my mind. It's like, no, south is better, no, north is better. If you stick around to the end of the video, we'll kind of cover why we decided to choose where we live in regards to north or south.
We are going to go through a couple different categories today and compare north versus south. And the first category we're going to cover is jobs.
Now, I think kind of going into this just right off the bat, okay, so south of Denver, you have the Denver Tech Center. That has a huge heads up when we talk about jobs in regards to the Denver metro area, but there are some great employers still north of Denver that we're going to cover, but south definitely has some of the top corporations, or I guess the biggest companies in Colorado.
Let's break that down a little bit. So we looked up the biggest employers, because obviously that's where a lot of people are going to be employed.
Yep.
And number one was Aero Electronics.
Yeah, and so another heads up outside of that too, these people are actually headquartered here in Colorado, so just kind of give you a quick heads up. So you said Aero Electronics.
Dish Network, and then QVC. It's all kind of down in that tech center area. Now, a lot of people, they may not live in the tech center area, but they do drive to it. And so that's going to be kind of the one advantage of being in the south of Denver, is that you have Denver and the tech center that you're going to be able to find employment to. So
yeah, and so if you're looking north, I mean, the biggest one that we kind of look at is Ball. And Ball is one of the largest companies that's up north. It's in Broomfield. It's always a thing. So Westminster and Broomfield kind of like, and everyone's like, no, this is Broomfield. No, this is Westminster. Claims that it's in Westminster, but yeah, it's up north, you know, just in the kind of the Broomfield area. Also, we have a great Google center that's up in Boulder, so that's something that we always talk about. Hospital systems, there's so many different hospital systems up north as well too. There are south, but I feel like the north is getting quite a bit as opposed to the south side.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our healthcare stuff is going to be centralized in Denver, or at least the kind of a radius surrounding, but I do think that we are starting to see a lot of healthcare things pop up. So
what's up, guys? Don't mean to butt into your video. I'm sure you're having a great time watching the current video you're watching right now, but real quick, Thanksgiving is tomorrow where we're at recording right now, so I want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving, because it is actually one of my favorite holidays. It's one of those times that we could be grateful and really emphasize the fact of so many great things that we have in our life.
Yeah, and as much as we are going to be surrounded by our families and loved ones, we are also so extremely grateful for every single one of you who have followed our channels, subscribed, all the clients who moved out here, letting us represent them in this real estate transaction and one of the most important things in their life. So thank you so much for being you. Thanks for following along, loving us for who we are, because we love you guys as well.
Thank you so much, guys, from the bottom of our hearts. We love you, and we'll continue on this video right now.
Okay, let's go into the second category. The second category is going to be this traffic/congestion, and this is probably a little subjective, right? Like, I think it depends on kind of what you're used to as traffic. So a lot of you guys are coming into the state and they're saying, you know, you don't know traffic. You're probably right, especially compared to some of the big cities, but there are some significant areas surrounding Denver, north and south, that we think we should talk about as far as congestion. So let's talk about north first. Actually, you talk about south.
Yeah, so south is definitely, in my mind, much more congested than the north side is. I think the biggest reason is because of that Denver Tech Center. And so you got the surrounding cities, Centennial, Highlands Ranch, Littleton. They're pretty packed in. They're pretty condensed. You know, of course, the closer you get to the mountains, you are going to get a little bit more spread out space. But it's also a big reason why Castle Rock blew up the way that it did, because the Denver Tech Center's down there. And everyone's like, I don't want to be right here in all this congestion. And so they all moved down to Castle Rock, and now Castle Rock's becoming congested. So
yeah, and so if you're trying to get to Denver and you maybe work on the west side of Denver, it's going to be really hard coming from the south, because you have traffic very heavy from University, to Spear. You still have traffic beyond University going south.
I'd say all the way down to like Dry Creek, and it's just like that. Everyone talks about that tech center traffic. Everyone's leaving, and it's just like when you're going down there it sucks, when you're leaving there it sucks, and
there's just no avoiding it. Like if you like audibles and like you want to listen to your books on tape, like that's the way to go. If you are used to traffic, it might not be a big deal to you, but if you're trying to get
So I just heard something this morning that apparently like mystery podcasts are a huge thing right now. This
like mystery stories.
Yeah, I don't know. It just said like or mystery or crime something
like
podcast. I don't know how you can make that like a book, of course, but apparently it's a huge
podcast.
Maybe it's something that I am way out of date. Like I don't know, but I was just like listening to this guy talk about how like the crime thing is or crime stories are huge podcast now or something. I'm
gonna look it up.
Yeah.
But if you are used to that traffic, and our traffic is lighter than what you're used to, then maybe that's not a big deal to you. But it's definitely going to be a little bit of a challenge if you're trying to get to west side of Denver. Now, if you're going up north, it used to just be 58th, because it starts to just climb the numbers when you go up north. It used to be just 58th to 84th, because we have a couple highways merging in right there. So we have I-70.
Yeah, so we have I-70, we have 76, which is kind of, I mean, 76 is like a small branch off of 70 that goes more north to east. And just quick reference, when we're talking about 58th and all these other roads, we're talking about off I-25.
Right.
Because that's our main vein going north and south. So that's kind of what we're talking about.
And then we also have 270 merging in as well from the other side.
From 36, yeah. So your 36, as it crosses over I-25, it essentially turns into 270. Yeah. And that's the one that goes down and then meets I-70.
Yeah, so we have a lot of merges right there. So between 58th and 84th used to be our highest traffic area. Now it's kind of gone a little further north even to 104th. So 58th to 104th. Now, I will say that if I'm stuck in traffic going south, it takes me longer from Spear past University or to Dry Creek than it would take me from 58th to 104th. So if we were to say that like the north versus south, we definitely say that the south is more congested.
Oh, I would agree 100%. Yep.
Okay, so let's get into the third category, and that is accessibility to the airport. So this one's a little hard because we tried to just stay with the main highways. And so let's talk about south first.
So just a quick reference, DIA is northeast of Denver, so obviously you'd think it'd be a lot easier to get there from the north side, right? And so let's kind of go over, you said the south or the north first?
South,
okay. I'm sitting here thinking in my head
I'm trying to always go south first so they can compare them.
All right, so south side, if you want to get there in a hurry, you could take E470, which is a tollway, all the way up and around, and you're looking at probably like 20 to 30 minutes on that tollway. So it's also similar if you're on the north side of Denver as well, too, but I'm not going to break too much in the north side. That's going to be Chelsea's end. If you don't want to take the tollway, don't want to have to pay for it, you're looking at 225, which 225 could be a freaking headache.
It could be a mess. And
that runs up into I-70, and then I-70 is pretty much what goes straight over to Pena Boulevard, and then that's the highway that goes straight over into the airport. So south side, actually, should we say which one we would prefer?
Not yet.
Okay.
Hold it.
She wants to keep the mystery up.
It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone.
The mystery podcast.
On the mystery podcast. Okay, if you're going from north, same thing. You can still, we talk about this 470 being kind of the circle around our kind of surrounding Denver area.
So I was talking with one of you that we were showing houses to the other day, and if you think about the Denver metro area, the 470 highway, where the east side of it's a toll and the west side of it's not a toll, that's like the encompassing part of the Denver metro area. And so that's kind of what she's talking about.
Yeah, except for there is a little pie cut out around Arvada. We're trying to finish that little circle.
Man, they're fighting over that, whether or not they're going to continue that little quadrant right there. But,
and actually, we're going to talk a little bit about that and how that changes the north and the south later. So stick around. Okay, so if you're coming from north, we do still also have the tollway that can go, around and get closer.
Yep.
And then we also would take I-70. So you would take I-25. You can cut 270 down to I-70, or you can go all the way down to I-70. So both ways that do not take the toll do merge into I-70.
Yep.
And of course, right when all that stuff merges, you will see I-70 back up. And so, we typically, especially when we're traveling with children, we usually do just take the toll. Now, is it the most cheap toll? Not necessarily. Like, it's actually pretty pricey. So I guess it would depend on how far south you are that you have to take that toll, how far north you are that you're taking that toll.
Yep.
If you're on the west side of town, good luck. I mean, that's just a whole different story getting to the airport. If you're using I-25 as a reference, if you're on the east side of town, it's obviously going to be a little easier to get to our airport.
All right, which one wins? Which one's a better commute, I guess?
Okay, I definitely think north.
I would say north, too.
Because nobody's on the toll.
Yeah.
Like, I was on the toll the other day, and I like looked down and was going like 95, and I was like, oh, but I had no reference. There was nobody around me, so I was just kind of like cruising, listening to music.
Well, I would even say remove the toll altogether and say if you just use regular highways, you're definitely going to get there quicker coming from the north side of Denver as opposed to the south side of Denver. Of course, you know, depending on whether there's crashes or something, you can't change that, but yeah.
I mean, and of course, we have different kinds of, we used to be able to, so we both have grown up here in Colorado, and it used to be where we had traffic times, but we don't really have that anymore. So we do have traffic kind of consistently throughout the day.
Yep.
It really just depends on the day of the week that you're going to see more of that traffic going to the airport.
Yep.
Okay, let's get into the fourth one, which is really exciting. I like this one. So the outdoor lifestyle. Now, Peter and I kind of like batted this one out a little bit because, you know, we actually really tried to give you a really clear picture, even if it means we disagree. Yeah. And so we've talked about this. I think we did finally come to the same conclusion that the outdoor lifestyle is pretty much the same north or south, unless you're on the west side. So this is a big difference between north and south for one reason, which we touched on a little bit earlier, and that's the 470. So talk a little bit about how this is different from south.
So here's my biggest reservations in regards to outdoor lifestyle in south versus north is 470. I feel like it splits like that the mountains from your town, right? Yeah. And so I don't think the accessibility is as good as say like Boulder. You don't have that split there, right? And so there's hiking trails for days. You just go up there and do your thing. Where down in like Littleton, Lakewood, you got this huge highway that's like dividing you a little bit. Now that's a little bit of a misconception because you have Red Rocks. People are always going down to Red Rocks, White Ranch, like all those different areas down there. So I just think in general, Colorado is super active. But I still just feel the activeness more in the north side. That's just me personal preference. I don't know.
So we talked about closing in that pie around that toll and then untoll, I guess, on the other side. But, you know, they are trying to complete that whole circle around Denver. But a lot of people in Arvada love the fact that there's no traffic between their, you know, housing and the foothills.
Yeah, the inner city trails, you know? And so right now, Arvada, they have all these open space parks where they have trails you could hike and such. And so...
Well, and even Westminster, like, or North Arvada / Westminster, because they're kind of by Stanley Lake, it kind of gets weird. Yeah. You know, you can just shoot directly west and get right into the foothills, and you don't have to worry, and you're going through, you know, town, and so it's not, you know, you don't have like this huge highway or interstate to cross over. And so a lot of the people, especially in kind of our, you know, Arvada areas like Candelas and Layden Rock and all of that, you know, they're like, no, don't put a giant highway between me and my mountain. So that is one difference. I do think that there are plenty of cities. So let's talk about the cities on the west side and the south that you would kind of be, you know, if you're trying to be like close to the foothills or close to the mountains and kind of those trail systems, it's going to be what cities?
So Littleton, Lakewood, Highlands Ranch. Littleton kind of touches the mountains, and then Highland Ranch butts up to Littleton. So Golden...
It's kind of in midway.
Well, yeah, so is Lakewood. Lakewood is pretty much like directly west of Denver, right?
Yeah, I still think of it as
but
south.
It goes like directly west-south. And so that's why we consider it south of Denver. Yeah. Golden is just straight, maybe a little bit more north. Well, it's a little bit north. Yeah, it's straight west, like north, you know, like we're doing all these. I don't know if we're pointing in the right directions, but.
Yeah, I think it's backwards on the camera.
Yeah, but so it's like, I mean, Littleton and Lakewood are your two biggest cities that we're talking about south of Denver that are going to be right into that active lifestyle in the mountains.
So if you're looking for like the most active cities up north, it's going to start at Golden, go to Arvada, West Arvada. It'll touch, I guess, some Lewisville, Superior, and then
goes
Boulder.
Up to, I think, Boulder. So.
But there's some Lewisville.
No, Lewisville doesn't touch over there.
I mean, not Lewisville, Superior.
Superior, yeah. So like Superior's right in between, and then you hit Boulder, which is like, you know. But. And
then obviously going even further north, you hit.
As you go along that whole, all those towns right along there. So Boulder, Lyons, Fort Collins, Loveland. All of them are just crazy active cities. I mean, Fort Collins is like one of the best biking cities in the U.S. and all that stuff. So don't mean to get off on a tangent there.
I guess there's one thing I think we should talk about then. Even though Castle Rock's kind of more centralized and closer to I-25, because it's kind of hilly in nature, you still have some trail system good things there that without having to be actually in our mountains.
I think it's outside of the Denver Metro, though. It's like booted out of there.
I don't know. I think it's getting closer.
It is.
Agree to disagree. High five.
I don't know. Agree?
Hanging? Come on. Okay, let's go into the fifth category.
Fifth comparison that we're going to be bringing in here is the light rail. And so when the light rail was initially established, when they first started building out all the lines, the south was heavily concentrated to be the first portion to put the light rail station in. And so like Lakewood, Littleton, Highlands Ranch, parts of Centennial, Aurora. And so that's where you have the majority of your stations, the majority of your lines going down right now. Whereas north...
I mean, north we're getting them. Slowly. There's only a few. So
there's only like two cities that have the light rail station right now. It's Thornton
and Arvada.
and like
And one in
they call it like
Westminster.
Wheat Ridge. Yeah, well, in the Westminster station. So
Yeah.
there's not much. They do have plans for that station. It's the FF line to go all the way up into Boulder eventually, I guess. I don't know. There's all kinds of plans. Like Longmont had a tax enacted a long time ago to bring the light rail station all the way up there.
Yeah.
Now they're saying, yeah, okay, 20 years maybe. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So how many are there in Arvada though?
Arvada, I think there's, let's see, 1, 2, 3 or 4. 'Cause-
And they're all very new?
Arvada Ridge, yeah. Arvada
All
Ridge
new.
is the newest station, and that's where if you want to check out our Arvada video, we talked about this. The Arvada Ridge station is
We'll pop up a
booming
link
like
right here.
crazy, all the development that they're doing around there because they're taking advantage of the light rail station.
Yeah, and then Thornton too. Thornton's another place that's growing like crazy, and we are
Yep.
getting light rail. So,
Yep.
as far as light rail access right now, I still think that South wins over
Oh,
the
it does
North
win, for sure.
any day.
Oh,
So, but if you're looking to maybe grow in equity and some of these growing cities that their light rail's coming, you have a
Yep.
big opportunity in the North in comparison to the South.
I sold a flip that was right next to a light rail station, and that was one of the biggest selling factors for selling that flip was, hey, guess what? There's a light rail station 2 blocks down, and so
It's
people were
increased in value like
oh,
crazy.
Oh yeah, it has. I
almost wish we
I wish
kept
I'd held on to that property.
I
I'm like,
know.
what? It's worth how much now? So
I know, it's crazy. Okay, let's get into the 6th category that we're going to compare North and South, and
Yep.
that is access to some of our most popular cities. So, start with South. We do agree, so this comes back to where we disagree, but we're
So,
just going to duke it out on here
in
with
my
you.
mind, I'm thinking populous, right? So I'm thinking like the most heavily populated cities, and so that's where in my mind I'm like, oh, Aurora would be in there, and she's like, well, Aurora isn't known
I don't
around
feel
the
like
United
people
States.
come to Aurora unless they're going to Gaylord.
Yeah, the gay. Yeah, that's okay. All right, that's in Aurora. Okay, yeah.
I'm right.
So
No, I'm just
south,
kidding.
we're coming south right now, right?
Yeah,
And
so-
the second largest city in the state of Colorado is Colorado Springs, and so
That's going to be your closest one.
That'll
for
be
sure.
pretty much be your closest one right there. Castle Rock is blowing up like crazy, but it's more so because people want to commute into Denver without being in the congestion of the southern side of Denver.
So when we were talking about this, about being what cities are you most close to, north or south, Peter wanted to include Castle Rock. But I will tell you, Castle Rock, because it's growing so much and we're starting to see things close in from Denver, it's going to eventually just be part of this Denver metro area in the south and not that big stretch of space between Castle Rock and Colorado Springs. So I do think Colorado Springs is really the big city that people would be kind of visiting if you were down south. Now, if you're up north, we have more, right? We have Boulder, we have Fort Collins. Those are the 2 big ones. So we definitely do, a lot of people do come to Fort Collins and Boulder for their outdoor activities, especially Horsetooth up north and,
Yep.
every mountain activity that you could possibly find in Boulder. So I don't know. I definitely think there's more access to more things to do in the north than the south. But Colorado Springs is great. Like there's plenty of things to do in Colorado Springs. So
Yep.
I don't know. More.
Well, Colorado Springs is also pretty far from South Denver,
It
too. You're looking
is.
at like an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on traffic, where Fort Collins from Denver, you're looking at like 45 minutes.
45, 50 minutes.
Yeah, so it's a lot different in time, too. So,
Yeah.
just
So I
something to
definitely
kinda
think
about.
north wins.
Or in like Boulder's like 30 to 45 minutes, right? And Boulder's one of those places that people come to Colorado to visit. So
Yeah, so I definitely think the North wins, having an extra city and also the proximity from the closest cities that
Yep.
people are trying to visit.
I agree.
Okay, so let's get into number 7, and that is the vibe.
The vibe.
The
Okay.
vibe. Okay.
So south, I mean, this just goes along with the whole congestion, the tech center type thing. It's very congested down there, very hectic, very crazy.
Very business.
Yeah, it is very business driven,
Yeah.
and it's I feel like it's very bougie. I mean, you got Cherry
It's
Creek
a lot
Mall,
more modern.
you got Park Meadows Mall. You like go in there and everyone's like shopping at their Louis Vuittons and.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's definitely a lot more modern. So if you're going to be going down to kind of the downtown areas of these cities, he's right. You're going to be in like kind of heavily, like really nice shopping areas with some kind of bougie restaurants or some boutiques, but a little bit more on the higher scale. And then if you like Belmar, for instance, in Lakewood, even Belmar is very modernized and it's just got this very different feel. Now, if you go up north, like we have all the things that we love about little Colorado downtown.
Can I say it? My little tagline.
Okay, go ahead.
I call it the Hallmark effect. So you see
so
those
excited.
Hallmark videos. It's Christmas time. It's snowing in your special little towns.
There's
That's what you
music
think
playing
about.
on the road and you want to go around the pole, which I do often.
Hello, Bedford Falls!
That's where you find more so in the northern side. Now, Littleton does have a nice little downtown like that, but it's
Yeah.
still, I mean, you look northern
changing.
Denver. I mean, think about it. So we got Lafayette, Louisville, let's think of
Old Town Arvada.
Old Town Arvada. What else here? So Westminster, no, they're building more of that modern style
but
like they have done in
even
Belmar.
Fort Collins.
Well,
the
that's
old
not
town.
North Denver though.
That's true.
But like
still
all those little like cute little small towns.
We're
I
gonna
mean,
have
Golden,
East Lake.
Golden is like I said, it's pretty much just like straight over. But I mean, they still have all those little cool little downtowns, the Hallmark effect.
It's just cute. They're smaller.
Yep.
They're a little bit more ma
Got
pa
a little-
kind of shops.
And they exchange the bougie with the boutique.
He's been waiting to say that. Could you see how proud he was? Okay, so it's a little bit more. It's not that we don't have local things down south. We do, but there are a little bit more chains, a little bit more of the things that people go to see for like he said, a little bit more the bougie side.
Yep.
Up north, like we have ma pa places that everyone floods in because they just like even any of the food trucks that convert into restaurants and things. People like go to those little areas where
Yep.
those downtowns are to like blow up that restaurant because it was that whole ma pa kind of feel. So
Yep.
I don't know how else to describe it, but
It's just like I said, it's more that small town feeling up north without being too small town. You got a lot of these small towns that are just, they're booming like crazy because people want to live in and around it, but they're making sure that they keep a good job of keeping it a small town. They're not tearing it down and putting up these huge metroplexes. So.
Now, I will say we have a couple places that are changing that up north. Westminster downtown.
Yeah, Westminster
that new
downtown.
modern downtown area, which is a lot more like
Broomfield.
south. And then Broomfield, Arista.
Yep.
So those are the two areas up north
Superior
that are
too. Superior's got their huge thing going.
Oh yes,
Downtown Superior. Yeah.
yeah.
So there's a few that are doing the modern thing, but
they're starting to kind of they're competing with the south.
There's a few of those smaller cities that are never going to let go of that
No.
small town, and it's just there's something magical there for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
We go there every year for New Year. We go to Louisville to go to Melting Pot because they have the music playing and the lights, and it's just so beautiful. Oh, Longmont too. I know it's a little far, but Longmont's downtown is definitely that like small town, lovely feel.
Downtown Brighton, it's doesn't have.
It's getting there.
It's good. It's just
It's just a little early.
Yeah.
All of our downtowns on the northeast side are coming.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're there. We're building around it. We
Yeah.
know it's coming. We just don't really know when.
They're just not as popular because they're not as close to the mountains,
Yeah.
right? And so they're not growing as fast as say these other cities that we mentioned.
See, I knew this would be a good topic. I knew we'd want to talk about that forever because it's one of our favorite things to do, especially around the holiday times or even the summer when they have all the festivals. So,
Yep.
Okay, let's get into the 8th and last topic before we tell you what we decided was best for our family so that you can kind of hear our little perspective. But
Yep.
so the 8th topic that we're going to compare north and south is going to be development.
Yeah, and so if you're further south, it's heavily developed. They do still have some stuff going in. It's like they just put in that huge Charles Schwab building down there. They just put the new hospital and stuff, but it's definitely way more developed, way more condensed, like we mentioned already, than say your north side, where your north side is a lot more open. But it's coming. There was actually a futurist that came in and talked to us one time, and he's talking about how, so Highlands Ranch is like kind of the huge like city down south or whatever. You pretty much flip that and put it up and put over on Thornton. That's what Thornton's going to be. And so they're saying that it is going to be as developed as your south side, but currently where we stand right now, it's not as developed as your south side.
Yeah, I will tell you, being kind of a nerd, like my favorite thing to do is go on the city websites and look at their kind of city development plans.
Yep.
And Thornton is blowing up with this. We talk about this all the time. So this actually kind of segues into where did the Sweeneys choose to live? We want to be close to downtown, but we really want to be close to some of the north cities as well. So obviously we chose up north. So, and that is strongly built around the fact that we know that these places are growing. We want the equity gains. We like the kind of quiet. It's a little quieter, I guess. I mean, there's definitely areas down south that are quieter and have a little bit more
if you go down
space.
like South Lone Tree or anything like that, it's
or
pretty
like
quiet and
Parker,
chill.
certain areas of Parker and Castle Rock and things like that. But there's something about the north area that we really, really like.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the biggest thing is I always kind of look at where the development's trending towards, right? Because I'm like, all right, cool. If we get a house there, then we look at the equity gains we could gain in the next couple of years. And so that's a big reason why we chose up here. Also, our family's up here. We personally just love this area so much more. I go down south and I'm just like, I don't know, it's just crazy. I feel like I just don't fit in. I don't know.
Yeah, and we do go down to Colorado Springs a lot. We have family down there as well, but we don't go as often as we're visiting, say, Fort Collins and Boulder and things like that because of the proximity that we talked to you about earlier. So it takes us, I mean, we have to like plan and prep to go down to Colorado Springs when we're visiting family because it is quite a hike to go down there. So not that it's not doable. We do it and it's beautiful. We sometimes even make little weekends out of it, go up to Manitou Springs and things like that, but it's definitely a little bit more accessible to be able to jump jump up and go to Fort Collins if we have to work, or go to Boulder if we have to work, and Denver. A lot of our things are kind of the Denver metro area, and we feel like we can access it more from the north.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. We did it. All the things.
We did it.
If there's certain questions that you have in regards to this topic or different cities, south versus north, that you want us to compare, feel free to comment down below. Give us a call. We love doing this. We want to make sure that we find the best place for you, whether it's south or north. But here are some big things to compare, so we hope you enjoy the video.
And of course, guys, if you are looking at purchasing real estate in the state of Colorado, give us a call on the phone number right below, right there. We're going to go in and answer those texts and those calls. Doesn't matter what time or day. Until next time, we love you. Bye.
Bye. Give us a call or text any time of the day, Monday through Friday. Nope.
If this is your first time watching this, nope. Okay. If this is your first time watching this, peace. What?
I don't know what happened just now.
Okay, all right. Kind of tell you what we decided to live, and did I say why we decided to live?
No.
Oh.
Where we decided to live, and
Okay. Yeah.
if you like audios,
Audiobooks.
let me start over that.
Yeah.
If you're on the east side of those, if